Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Sunday morning here. Let's see. Eminem. Today's topic's going to be pretty cool. Eminem and cancel culture. Cancel culture. Hello, hello. Let's see if I can post this. There you go. There we go. Happy Sunday, another coffee and conversations. Hope everybody's doing well. Hey guys. Got an interesting topic. I just pinned it below. We're going to talk about Eminem and cancel culture. Those of you who've been following what's been happening in the last few days, pretty entertaining stuff. Before we talk about that, have to talk about what I'm drinking. I don't know if you can see my mug. This is a big mug, just doesn't look big. It's actually pretty big. Probably holds 12 ounces. I don't know, maybe 16 ounces. What's going on, everybody? So before we start our conversation today, topic I just pinned, we're going to talk about what I'm drinking here. So this is a cappuccino I made here at home. I like my cappuccinos to be slightly on the acidic side because of milk. You know, there's so much milk in it with the foam. It adds a layer of sweetness and fat and texture. I'm using a Rwandan bean, small scale farmers, single origin. It's got a gooseberry, grapefruit, and brown sugar undertone from Rwanda. Once again, my favorite place, Peixoto, here in town in Chandler, Arizona. Their bean is just the best. I would say I used a very, very, very fine grind. And I used a lot of foam. I mean, this thing is a foam lava machine. Look at that. Yeah. So, anybody drinking anything special? No, not particularly. I really look forward to having my cappuccino in the morning. It's just a ritual for me. It's an entire ritual. What's up? What's going on? Join the conversation. If you ever have a comment, a question you want to drop into the live, by all means, drop in. Maybe you want to join me on the video. Don't be shy. Jump in. Otherwise, we usually get a lot of comments and questions after we hang up on the live. And I realize that there may not be hundreds of people watching right now, but there will be later on. And if and when you have your questions, send them over to me. I thought today we would talk about something that is rather timely. We've talked about this topic before, that is cancel culture. And today's spin is cancel culture and its relationship to the rapper Eminem. So earlier this week, a bunch of Gen Zers, do you guys know what Generation Z is? Basically, if you're 24 or under, you're considered to be a Gen Z. So younger than millennial. And the TikTok activists that they are, Gen Zers tend to be people who are very, very active and fight and light firestorms on TikTok and Twitter over anything. Could be the color of somebody's t-shirt. Maybe you disagree with me, but personally, I think they are more vocal, for better or for worse, about political views, religious views, anything controversial. If a Gen Zer gets a hold of it, they're going to light it on fire. So we have TikTok, people on TikTok just blowing up against Eminem. It started, of course, with one post, one TikTok, and it goes viral, as TikTok typically does with anything remotely interesting. So this past week, somebody decided to scratch at a 10 or 11-year-old song called Love the Way You Lie by Eminem. And that song is, for those of you who aren't familiar with the song, but this is a song where Eminem talks about his relationship, or his disgruntled and very ugly relationship with his ex-wife, Kim Scott. And Rihanna with her ex-boyfriend Chris Brown. And anybody who knows anything about rap music and these two artists, their lyrics are controversial as it is. Their relationships, as bad as they were very public, and their breakups were very public. And naturally, with both of them being artists, they decided to sing about it, which artists typically do, for better or for worse. And so you've got this Generation Z group who basically tries to light Eminem on fire, saying, hey, your lyrics, promote domestic violence and promote abuse. And I'm just thinking about this, and I'm thinking of all the rappers you want to cancel, you're canceling the guy who is the most counterculture rapper, the guy who hates everything and anything popular, essentially, who dogs anything and everyone, every culture, everything, who's very much on his sleeve. You pick that guy, to try to cancel, I find that comical. I think anybody who knows anything about Eminem, and I'm not even, first of all, I love Eminem. I think he's an amazing rapper. He's probably one of the best rappers of our time. You don't have to agree with me, but he is an amazing lyricist. He will rhyme entire, paragraphs with words and connections that you never even imagined. The guy's talented, whether you give him credit for it or not. But I digress. My point is simply that I think Eminem has a right to rap about whatever the hell he wants to rap about. He's an artist. That's what artists do. They talk about their life experiences. They rap about things that make them, things that fulfill their ability to sort of therapeutically talk about problems in their life, for better or for worse. And you don't have to agree with the lyrics, particularly with Eminem. I mean, Eminem is one of those guys who's not going to give two shits about what you think about him or his music. Even when it comes to, the industry as a whole, Eminem's blasted them, the rap industry. He's blasted the Grammys. He's blasted everybody you could possibly think of. I mean, literally, this guy is the thesis of his rap. And I'm not a rap scholar, but the little that I know about Eminem's lyrics, he's literally about rapping, about putting everything and anything down. There's a sense of humor. There's a sense of satire. Again, you don't have to agree with what he says, but as an artist, many people don't normally agree with everything you rap about and sing about, but they like your songs, they like your lyrics. The idea that a Gen Zer, again, somebody who's 24 or younger, would try to call out a rapper like Eminem and say, well, this lyric is promoting violence. That was his experience. You expect him to sing about roses and Valentine's Day chocolates and, what do you expect him to say? What do you expect him to say about an abusive relationship, what he categorizes as an abusive relationship? Super curious on that. The man did come for any and everyone, and no one wanted that. Yeah, exactly. This is my exact point. Marshall Mathers, his entire rap thesis is to blow everybody and anybody up, especially if you come at him, right? Personally, again, I think that this entire thing is hilarious. What's even funnier is in response to the Gen Z cancel attempt, Marshall Mathers, Eminem was working on, I'm sure he didn't just put this together as a response to these people. I don't think he cared that much. I think he was working on it anyway. But he released a video for Tone Deaf, a new song that he was working on, which I have to say is hilarious because it absolutely responds to this counterculture, or this cancel culture, message that people were trying to say, trying to bring Eminem down on, right? And so one of his lyrics is, I won't stop even when my hair turns gray. I'm tone deaf because they won't stop until they cancel me. And he was tweeting it, and there's 40,000, comments and, 40,000 likes and 10,000 comments on that. And some of these comments by Gen Zers are hilarious. It is hilarious. And you can really see the people who get Eminem and get his rap thesis because they respond accordingly, right? I had somebody request to be in this video. Let's see. Let's see. I think it's absolutely hilarious that anyone would try to cancel a guy who himself cancels essentially everybody with his rap lyrics. And I don't know, this stuff to me is very childish. We've talked about cancel culture and where, you know, it has a place in our society. For better or for worse, anybody could find themselves on the brink of getting canceled. But the question is, you know, what does it mean? What does it mean? Do you Gen Zers really understand Eminem? Do you understand what his lyrics are about? Do you understand his journey? The guy didn't have a privileged upbringing. The guy didn't have anyone who really believed in his music and his rap. There's a whole entire movie on this, right? I don't need to tell you these things. But it is hilarious that he responds in the way he did with this video, and his literally gives a middle finger to all the Gen Zers and all the haters, everybody who's trying to cancel him for some lyrics that he wrote. Again, just because you rap about it doesn't mean you support it. It might be a life experience, right? Rappers talk about life experiences all the time. And of all the things, and of all the rappers, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but they pick Eminem to pick this fight with. Really, what about the rappers who degrade women? What about the lyrics that are just, you can't even listen to some of these lyrics? At least Eminem's entertaining. And whether you agree with it or not, he is a phenomenal artist. I mean, the guy sold over 200 million records. Think about that, 200 million. You don't do that accidentally. You don't do that if you're not somebody who is a successful rapper, successful artist. And he's been around for generations now. Now we're getting into a second generation or a third generation of people who are listening to his music. So by every definition, he's successful. By every definition, he's controversial. And, you know, you do these things. You try to cancel a guy who you know is going to clap back, and he did really hard. And I think it kind of worked against these Gen Zers who were trying to cancel him and bring attention to his controversial lyrics, because he's got now an even better song, I would argue, that speaks to his controversial positions that he takes on his beliefs in society and pop culture issues. I mean, the lyrics are as entertaining as you can possibly imagine in the song Tone Deaf. If you haven't heard it, you got to at least hear it once. An anecdote, it's full of Eminem-like lyrics, if you know what I mean. Hi, Carmen. Carmen, he has freedom of speech. My question is that if it could be proven that his lyrics specifically defamed his ex, could he be sued? Yeah, it's a good question. I think you're going to have a hard time. Anybody who is trying to sue a rapper or an artist over lyrics is going to have a hard time, because the question is, are you construing the context in which the words were spoken to be fact? Meaning, would a reasonable person expect that a person who is singing or rapping is here to publish a factual statement? So it's kind of it's an objective, but at the same time, somewhat subjective test. I don't think anybody, if this was in front of a jury, I don't think anyone in front of a jury, any juror would actually believe that, because typically it's a jury question. I don't think they would believe that a rapper, as satirical and as comical as Eminem is, I don't think anyone would ever believe that what he is, you know, singing about is a purported fact, meaning he's singing about factual events. So that's the number one challenge. But assuming they would say, yeah, we believe it, that these were facts. I guess it's possible. I think it's, with a guy like Eminem, though, it would be almost impossible to sue him for defamation for his lyrics, unless he was purporting to actually say something factual about somebody and people took it to mean something factual. I don't know. I think it's pretty clear that he's satirical, he's opinionated, he's got strong opinions, and he's hilarious. I'm sorry, he really is hilarious. I still remember when his first album came out, his first song came out, right? Slim Shady. My name is Slim Shady. At least that's the first song I remember. If they want to cancel Eminem, is Cardi B on that list as well? Good question. Good question. Again, I would argue that to try and cancel a rapper or lyricist for I guess it depends on what you think, she should be canceled or could be canceled for. But when they're singing about experiences, when they're singing about things that are going on in their mind's eye, is that something that you should even be canceled about? Like, I guess I agree that if they're telling you to do something, or if they take a position on something that is so out there. And again, it's hard to say that because Eminem is out there. That's his style. That's what he does. Eminem is a counterculture rapper. He just happens to be an extremely popular rapper, selling over 100 million, 200 million records. The guy's a brilliant lyricist. But the point is, he is like literally the epitome of somebody who would tear apart any topic, not giving two shits about anybody. And of all the rappers, they picked him to kind of go after. I just think it's comical. Even if it's not fact, was the damage nominal? Did she lose any monetary opportunity? Right. 100% agreed, right? So you still have to meet all the elements of defamation. Assuming he said something about her that falls into the per se category, and that assuming we're talking about Kim, I don't know if the question was specifically about his ex-wife, but how would she prove damages? And then the question is she defamation proof, which I've seen as a defense, right? Meaning, is her reputation so bad that nobody could fathom that her reputation got worse than what it was? Interesting question. Danny Lay has been canceled. I'm not familiar with this. If you want to elaborate, happy to. I apologize. I'm not familiar with it, but you're more than welcome to drop some more info and we can chat about it. I just thought this was a really intriguing, really intriguing person to go after, to try to cancel. A really intriguing reason. Again, if you're an activist and you want to dissect a rapper or an artist, of all the rappers and artists to go after and to dissect, you pick the guy who's the least politically correct rapper, the rapper who could care less if the world around him was on fire. It's just comical. It's almost like it was a perfect setup for him to write another song about, which is exactly what he did. Catch Me Outside Girl. Oh, right. Okay. I got you. What was the controversy with her? I missed it. If it happened, I totally missed this one. Maybe I should look it up. Let's see. I'm curious to see if anybody feels the opposite, that rappers like Eminem or Eminem should be canceled. If you're watching this, that's a different artist. Never mind. Oh, the Yellowbone song, Only God Can Cancel Me. What is this? Oh, so this was a while ago. This was a couple months ago. I guess I missed this. After posting a snippet of her song Yellowbone, the singer bops to her track mouthing lyrics, Yellowbone is what he wants, Yellowbone is what he wants. Okay. The diss track. It was a diss track. Yeah, I got it. Very colorist in the black community that wouldn't fly. And in the black community that wouldn't fly. Ah, okay. I got it. If you're watching Native Solstice, you're still watching, tell me exactly what was offensive. And I'm sorry, I'm looking it up right now as we talk. But tell me what was offensive and why it was offensive, if it was offensive to you. And I'm super curious. It's actually a good topic of conversation, and I would love to know. Let's see where she wore box braids. Oh, I see. I gotcha. So this is a diss. This is a it's kind of a racially insensitive sort of comment, I guess, is what. It wasn't something that I looked at deeply. I'm sorry that I wasn't sensitive to the topic. Definitely feel misunderstood. That's what she said. She's Dominican. And got it. Okay. I'm not familiar with the terminology either, so I apologize if this one went over my head. I'd love to talk about it if you guys know a little bit more. Yellow bone and red bones are words that are used to describe lighter skin mix. Aha. Okay, now I got it. What does this all have to do with Danny Lay? A Southern African American vernacular. Got it. Term used to describe light-skinned black women. But yellow bone isn't simply a physical designation. It comes with the hefty legacy of colorism behind it. Aha. Okay, now it makes much more sense. Now it creates so much discord, especially with people who don't consider themselves black or African. Great point. Okay, now I see it. So this is probably something, and you see this a lot in music, where people say words that have maybe other significant cultural anecdotes. Perhaps they're not even anecdotes. Perhaps they are front and center, and it's hard to. Then you have to backtrack. And I wonder if lyricists and artists actually know what they're saying and don't care until there's backlash. Like, I wonder if Danny Lay knew exactly what she was saying and whether it would have been offensive, or if she just thought it was a sick rap to drop and didn't really care too much to look about, who she was going to offend, and nobody told her, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I think you should be conscious of what you are rapping, especially if you're a pop musician, right? You have to be conscious of these things. You can't be an idiot. What's up, the SAF? With art that's made for consumption, i.e. sale, purchase, folks that don't agree need not listen and can vote with their dollar. Art is intended to be provocative. This I agree with. This I totally agree with. You prove it with your dollar. And that's exactly why I think it's hilarious that Eminem people would try to cancel one of the most arguably successful rappers, who's known for controversial lyrics, controversial positions, controversial performances. Everything about that dude is controversial, right? Shouldn't we hold that freedom to express ideas sacred within a culture? I totally agree. I think if there's anything that lends itself to free expression, it's art. Things like art, music included. At the same time, you wonder if certain things are said intentionally or done unintentionally, and then people have to come and apologize. Like, I can juxtaposition Danny Lay and juxtaposition that with Eminem. Eminem could literally not give two shits about anything anybody says, politically correct or not. He's almost purposefully politically incorrect. And so I think it's particularly funny with this particular issue that people would come after him saying, oh, you're politically incorrect, you're promoting violence. And when he's kind of laughing at this thing, saying, dude, I'm actually making a joke of this. I'm actually, making a mockery of these things. But they were his experiences, right? They're his experiences. This is his way to vent. For him, it's poetic. For him, it's an explanation of his life story. So for him in particularly, I think that I don't know how cautious and eggshell he needs to be. And maybe I'm holding him to a different standard. But the point is, the entire thesis of Eminem is to call people out and be obnoxious and absurd from day one, and slapstick, in your face type of rap. There's a lot of comments here. Let me see. So people know, let me see. Most especially artistic forms of expressions, they allow for alternative narratives and counterculture expressions to be voiced. And I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. If you can't voice yourself through art and music, and you're an artist or a musician, how are you going to do it? And some of the most significant movements have come out of lyrics or music or culture. And I think this is an important contribution to that, right? Let's see. Here's some comment. Was M just an easy target? Cultural appropriation? Yeah, I mean, people have accused Eminem from day one of of cultural appropriation. People have had a hard time with the fact that he's a Caucasian male, right, from 8 Mile. And, you know, he was in the wrong game to start with. I've read people saying that about it. I don't get that. I mean, how can you tell somebody that they're not the right race for an artistic or cultural experience? Maybe I'm stupid, but yeah, I agree with that. He was and he always is an easy target, right? Native Solstice. I would agree. However, cultural appropriation is not okay, and M would never use the N word. I get that too. I totally respect that. So people know when they are doing more than being provocative. Here's another comment. The censorship of ideas is dangerous. Actions and ideas are different. Yeah. Look, once again, with music, especially with music, it's hard to draw a hard line. And I know there are certain things that, you know, I think are inappropriate in music, perhaps, right? And I think cultural appropriation, or I mean, use of the N-word, period, that's something that I don't know that there's a great analogy to that, because it is such a significant thing to do. And if it's misplaced, you know, you're going to upset a lot of people. And that's something that you as an artist need to be aware of. So I think for me, it's not so much about whether it's right or wrong. To me, I think the question is you have to be cognizant of the impact this is going to have on your audience and those who are not your audience, but by hook or crook will be an audience because they are so interested in the controversy and commenting on it. And I think as an artist, you have to just be cognizant of that, right? And like one of the analogies I would say is if you paint a naked person, a picture of a naked person, would you put that in front of a church or a mosque or a synagogue or a temple? Would you put that up there and say, yeah, this is artistic expression and we have no problem with it? I know the Romans did that. I know in certain other cultures, I mean, in Hindu, go in India and look at the temples and there's people having naked threesomes, statues of this stuff. And if I'm wrong, please correct me. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I don't think I'm wrong. But the question is, are you offending somebody, and should people be offended? And is it commentary worthy? And the answer to that is, it had significance at the time such that somebody created a rendition of it. They published it. It's meaningful to them. If the audience receives it in a way that it was not intended, that's one thing. If it was offensive, then we question, should we care? Because it is a cultural and artistic rendition, and it is a cultural expression and an artistic rendition of culture. And I think that that's where the key question is. I don't know that there's a right answer. I don't know that there's a right answer to that. You know, I've heard plenty of lyrics that I thought were offensive to me. Or maybe offensive is not the right way. That I thought should be questioned. You know, but then I'm like, who am I to tell this person you don't have the right to sing about that? Now, that's a different statement. That's a more significant statement, to say you don't have a right to say those things. Maybe. It's hard to brush with broad strokes here. I think it's very fact specific. It's very song, lyric, audience specific. With Eminem, again, I think Eminem is he's the controversial guy. That's his whole theme of every song he's ever written, every album he's ever dropped is entirely about controversy. He thrives in controversy. He's a counterculture guy. He's not what I would call a mainstream rapper. And besides, rap music as it is, as a genre, rap music as a genre was always about the message and not necessarily, it was about substance. It's always been about substance. It's never been necessarily about just a good beat. I mean, that's how rap music started. And if you look at 80s rap, 90s rap, you'll see that, right? You'll see a lot of that political rap, political speech, counterculture stuff being rapped about. People may have been offended with that kind of thing. But again, I think that may be the whole purpose and place for art and music. Great art is often offensive. It's relative to folks that don't agree. In a society, we have to protect the right to disagree. Yeah, no, I think you can't censor something just because it is offensive. Again, we're talking outside of the fact of whether or not something might be violating a particular law. Let's just put a little anecdote on that. If it's unlawful, it's unlawful. And then you have to argue it in front of a judge to determine whether it should be stopped. And that's the stuff that I deal with all the time. If it's infringing, if it's defamatory, etc. So put that aside. The question of whether it should be, the question of whether something is so controversial or so offensive, and whether that should be removed from a culture or an art or entire category of art is a different question. And I tend to agree. I think controversy is what makes cultures improve, because at first things that, electricity was controversial when it first was discovered. Medicine, a lot of medicinal plants are still controversial, right? I mean, these are things that we're still talking about, things that are thousands of years old. Things that when they were first discovered were controversial, which later people understood had their place in society, right? And we don't always understand that right out the gate, but it has value. With the new cancel culture, Skinny Bit has a question. With the new cancel culture, do you think it's time to make defamation more than tort and make it law? Well, defamation is a law, meaning it's a category of laws. It's statutory, and it's further refined by case law. Defamation is a law. I'm not sure I understood the question. Yeah, I'm not sure I understood that question, but it still applies. I mean, there are artists who could get sued for defamation. You still have to meet all the technical requirements. I think it's more difficult because the context in which the words are spoken is not purporting to be fact necessarily. Unlike a review, if you write a false defamatory review, we expect reviews to be honest and objective facts, right? So anyway, I'm just fascinated by this. I'm fascinated by cancel culture. I think this was one of the most ridiculous attempts to cancel somebody. You basically made Eminem stronger. So you can thank the Gen Zers who raised this as a controversy. The guy's going to say whatever he wants to say, and he's not going to care. He's not even out to sell an album. I don't think Eminem even cares if his stuff sells. It's going to sell well because it's Eminem. And I think because it's controversial, it will sell. But yeah, I just think this is I just think it's hilarious. I just think it's hilarious. And by the way, the animation in Eminem's new drop, Tone Deaf, is amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, you need to watch it. The message is very good. I actually really appreciated the message. And his message that I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to be, just because you're offended or if you think I said something that doesn't sit well with you, I'm going to keep going. That's his message. That's always been his message. It should be no surprise to anybody who has followed Eminem throughout his career. But anyway, I appreciate the listener who brought up the Danny Lay issue. It is a different different color to this issue. No pun intended. It's a different color to this issue. With yellow bone being, whether that's a culturally improper, it's a nuance of colorism that came out, or if it's something that, she didn't even think would ever even create a knee-jerk reaction in people. I don't know. Interesting stuff. What I mean is it's not necessarily punishable. There's no recourse for spreading false information. No, I disagree. Defamation is a cause of action that, there is harm. There is absolutely recourse if you're spreading false information. Again, depending on the context, right? Depending on the context, but we sue people for defamation all the time where it makes sense to sue and not simply send a demand. But there is harm in publishing false information, and they can be sued. You can obtain damages from a defendant who's publishing false information if it meets the legal requirements. Back to Eminem. The other thing that I find interesting is of all the songs that they could find about Eminem that were controversial, they picked this song. This song meaning, what was the name of the song? Let's see. Love the Way You Lie. A 2010 song. Maybe it's the first time they heard it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why they picked this particular song and chose to tie it to promoting domestic violence. Bottom line, I think, is Eminem is far from canceled. The guy, I don't know that there's anything that he could do or anybody could say about him that would cause him to be canceled. And I'm just fascinated that of all the people and of all the lyrics and of all the things to cancel anybody about in the rap world, could pick this guy, which I just think was an absolute mistake and I think is hilarious. So anyway, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. It will be interesting to see how this evolves in light of his new music video and song that he just published. I think it was on the 5th, March 5th. And to see how this thing kind of plays out. I personally, I think it's dead. Personally, I think people will be paying a lot more attention to Tone Deaf and Eminem's new song, and will find it entertaining. And I don't think anyone's going to really care about this cancel culture stuff as it relates to Eminem. But comment if you think I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, and this is going to have any sort of impact on Eminem or his career, let's hear it. I don't think anyone agrees that there's even one iota of an opportunity for somebody to unravel the thread of Eminem's career. He's too far into it. He's too far into it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. This was interesting, slightly different than some of the ones that we talk about. But again, cancel culture can be grossly misplaced. Sometimes it's appropriate. In this instance, I think it's just ridiculous. I really think it's ridiculous. I don't understand the whole message. The guy is purporting to be, right, a victim of abuse, an abusive relationship. So how could you say that he's promoting domestic violence with satirical lyrics, regardless of what he said? Light the house on fire, burn the house down. Those are his emotions. He's an artist, so he's invoking dramatic emotion through his lyrics. What do you think he's going to say? I'll send you roses on your birthday to his ex. I mean, I'm just curious. Like, if I could ask these Generation Z TikTokers, what do you expect Eminem to say about an abusive relationship? Interesting stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining the conversation about Eminem and cancel culture. We'll be sure to watch to see what happens and to talk about other cancel culture activities and anything interesting that's happening in this world. If you have a request to, for us to talk about any of these things, let us know. Happy to talk about it. I'm going to go and finish my cappuccino. It's getting a little cold. When I make mine at home, I end up microwaving it like 3 times. I don't know if you guys do that when you drink coffee. By the time I get to the bottom, it's cold. Anyway, nice chatting with you guys. Thank you. Another great Sunday. Hope you guys have an excellent start to the week. Until next time.